Fluffnutter meets neon consequences. The interview room smelled like stale coffee and bureaucratic despair. A single flickering hollow panel on the wall displayed the Intergalactic Enforcement Corps crest, because nothing says, "We care about your mental health," like a glowing eagle clutching 17 different weapons. Across the scratched metal table sat Officer Redacted, 20 years on the job, average height, average weight, average everything except the number of times he'd been shot, stabbed, or had something acidic thrown in his face. Humans call that seasoning. Everyone else calls it Tuesday. Next to him, clutching a data pad like it was a life raft, was the HR rep, a nervous little four-armed Veldari whose name tag read Reviewer Kleep, Psych Division. Kleep's left two hands were trembling. His right two were taking notes at light speed. Kleep cleared all three throats. "Officer, for the record, this is the mandatory post-incident psychological evaluation and after-action report regarding trainee Xar'veth of the Crevelian species. You have been informed this session is recorded?" The officer leaned back, boots on the table. Regulation violation number 1. Add it to the list. Yeah, record away, Kleep. Just pretend you're compiling my next stack of offenses like usual. When you're done, file it. Tell me to behave. Sentence me to a desk vacation. In a week, they'll cancel it. Tell me to behave again. Off the record, tell me to get my ass back in the field. If you actually get me a full month riding pine, coffee's on me. Black, 2 sugars, none of that synthetic crap. Kleep's antenna drooped. I will make a note. Good lad. Now, where were we? Oh, right, the Crevelian. The officer cracked his knuckles. Day 1, 0600 hours. Trainee Xar'veth fresh out of the academy. Still had that new cadet smell. Equal parts arrogance and whatever cologne they bottle as Apex Predator number 5. We stop at Jumpin' Jack's Brew Hut on Dock 19 for coffee and a breakfast burrito, because even veteran officers run on caffeine and regret. The waitress, human kid, maybe 19, name tag says Jules, comes over with a smile that dies the second Xar'veth leans across the counter, flashes every tooth in his head and growls, "You will comp the meal of a Crevelian peace officer, or I will have you cited for failure to render aid and assistance under Section 87B. Jules blinks. I blink. The entire coffee shop blinks. I reach over, gently close Xar'veth's muzzle with 2 fingers like I'm shutting a suitcase, and tell Jules, 2 large coffees, black, 2 chorizo burritos, full price, and ignore the walking ego with feathers. Paid, tipped her 20 credits for emotional damages, and dragged the trainee outside by his elbow spines. First verbal warning of the day, delivered right there on the sidewalk while morning shift dock workers streamed around us. Listen up, Fluffnutter. We are guests in human space. You do not intimidate civilians for free food. You do not flash fang at a kid making minimum wage plus tips. Next time you pull that, I write you up. And I will personally mail the footage to your clutch mother. Clear? He hissed something about Crevelian honor. I told him honor doesn't pay for burritos and to get in the patrol skimmer. Everything after that was just gravity doing what gravity does to arrogant objects. Kleep was scribbling so fast one of his stylies snapped. Fast forward to lunch. Same day. We're walking the lower concourse, grabbing street vendor noodles. Old human gent, must have been 80 standard, cane, oxygen mask, the works, bumps into Xar'veth because the crowd shoved him. Pure accident. Noodles go nowhere, nobody's even spilled. Xar'veth spins around, chest feathers flaring like he's about to challenge the guy to ritual combat. Starts barking. You will apologize to an officer of the Corps for assaulting my person. Old man's confused, trying to figure out what just happened. Crowd slowing down. I can already smell the viral video brewing. I step between them, put a hand on Xar'veth's chest, and use what I like to call my dad voice. Trainee, stand down. It was an accident. You are not injured. You are not bleeding. Your dignity is the only thing hurting. And that's self-inflicted. Old man starts, I'm so sorry, officer, Xar'veth cuts him off with a snarl. Silence! Apology accepted only if delivered on your knees. That was the exact moment the dock workers stopped walking entirely. I grabbed Xar'veth by the back of his duty harness, yanked him 6 inches off the ground so we were eye to eye, and gave him the second and final warning of the day. This one loud enough the old man heard it too. Here's your one and only reality check, kid. Out here, the badge doesn't make you the biggest predator in the room. It makes you the person who's supposed to stop the biggest predators. You keep this up, the locals will educate you in ways the Academy never could, and I will not stop them. I'll just write the report afterward. Nod if your tiny brain understands. He nodded. Barely. I set him down, helped the old gentleman steady himself, bought the man a fresh bowl of noodles on my own cred chip, apologized for the trainee, and told him if anyone ever gave him trouble again to ask for the average-looking human with the bad attitude. The word travels. Then I warned my CO he was going to get hurt and turned in my first official reprimand of trainee Xar'veth. Documented, signed, thumbprinted, and time-stamped before we even finished lunch. Response. Make it work. Still eternally long day 1. Spaceport Delta 9 cargo docks. Trainee Xar'veth, 6'8" of teeth, claws, and ego, decides the best way to introduce himself is to snarl at a crew of human longshoremen. He gets up in their face. Xar'veth grabs the guy by the vest, lifts him clean off the deck plating. So I do what any reasonable field training officer does. I walk over, tap Xar'veth on the shoulder, and when he turns, I knee him in the nerve cluster Crevellians have right behind the jaw. Dropped him like a sack of angry potatoes. Dock workers gave me a round of applause and a free coffee. Reported it to the CO. His exact words. He's the Capital Sector Deputy Commissioner's nephew. Make it work. Kleep's lower left hand stopped writing. You assaulted your trainee? Self-defense against stupidity. Moving on. Day 2. Same port, red light corridor. Human working girl, let's call her Marisol. Xar'veth decides to question her. Grabs her arm hard enough to bruise. Marisol channels thousands of years of human women dealing with assholes and drives her heel straight into his reproductive future. While he's folded in half, she vaults a railing and disappears. I just stood there eating a protein bar. Reported it. CO again, make it work. Kleep was turning a delicate shade of chartreuse. Day 3, transit tube between sectors. Trainee's weapon accidentally discharges. Round punches through 3 bulkheads and ventilates a vending machine. I still mourn that vending machine. It owed me a soda. Kleep squeaked. Day 7, this one's my favorite. We walk into a warehouse where 15 of the biggest, meanest dock workers in the sector are having lunch. 5 humans built like silverback gorillas that lost a fight with a steroid factory. 3 Gorathians, 7 full-grown Vornak battle cast. Doing nothing suspicious at the time. These are the kind of guys who got creatine instead of baby formula and arm wrestle freighters for fun. Xar'veth takes one look, decides he's the baddest thing in the room, because of course he does, and starts mouthing off. Next thing I know, he's airborne. One of the Vornak used him as a javelin, head first into a Durasteel barrel. I drew, put 2 rounds in the knees of the biggest ones. Turns out both had active warrants for smuggling weapons-grade plasma. They're in the infirmary now, crying for their lawyers. Xar'veth spent the next 8 days in transit sleeping it off and growling that he didn't need my help. I told the CO the kid already knew everything about everything. Response, and I quote, make it work. The officer took a sip from a flask that definitely wasn't department issued. Day 18, Planet Hotan, Warding Entertainment District, middle of the night, off-duty rotation. I get a call. Guy on the other end is laughing so hard he can barely breathe. Gives me an address, hangs up. I roll up to find trainee Xar'veth, buck-ass naked, handcuffed to a support pylon with his own cuffs. Industrial tape over his mouth. Someone wrote "not a super cop" across his forehead ridge in glow-in-the-dark neon pink permanent marker, toes and claws painted hot magenta. He's crying. Not snarling, not threatening, just full-on ugly crying. Snot bubbles, the works. Uniform? Gone. Had to bag what was left as biohazard. Let's just say the ammonia content was impressive. I uncuffed him, got him in the skimmer. He wouldn't say a word. No witnesses. Every surveillance camera in a 3-block radius mysteriously malfunctioned. Shocking. But rumors? Oh, the rumors were delicious. Seems our boy got mouthy with a little old Crevelian grandmother. Someone's great-granddam visiting from the home world. Knocked her grocery bag out of her arms, getting away from a crowd he'd pissed off earlier. When she didn't call him sir, he kicked her tomatoes down the street and stepped on one. She cried. Her grandkids cried. Then the entire district stopped being bystanders. Next anyone saw of Xar'veth, he was in his birth uniform, apologizing, crying like a toddler who broke grandma's vase, while half the neighborhood took turns with the marker and nail polish. Back to Skimmer, now very aromatic, he still didn't say a word, drove him back to barracks. He showered for 2 straight hours. Still wouldn't talk. Just kept staring at the pink writing in the mirror like it might come off if he believed hard enough. The officer leaned forward, grinning for the first time. Funny thing, locals around there? Good people, mostly. You treat them right, they'll have your back. You act like an 8-foot-tall feathered asshole with a badge complex? Well, they get creative. I'm told the old lady sent the precinct a thank you card and a jar of homemade preserves. Addressed it to the nice human officer who understands justice. Kleep's datapad was smoking slightly. The officer stood up, stretched. Anyway, trainee Xar'veth is on the transport back to headquarters right now, clutching a baby bottle I bought him, nipple and all. Figured it was appropriate. Permanent discharge paperwork's already filled out. Marked it, unable to make it work. As for me, I've got a sector to get back to. People there know the difference between peace officers and glorified bullies with claws. And if some nephew of some commissioner thinks he's hotter than a twin sun noon, well, there's always more pink neon markers. Now, if you'll excuse me, reviewer Kleep, I've got a date with a cup of real coffee and a desk that probably won to last a month. Try not to miss me too much. He stopped before exiting, turned back. Tell you what, Kleep, when this recording hits the precinct group chat, and we both know it will, make sure they include the part where I predicted he was going to get hurt. I called my shot, and the universe hit a home run with a neon pink marker. Now I'm getting that coffee. Real coffee. Try the chorizo burrito while you're updating my permanent record. Tell Jules I said hi. He tipped an imaginary hat and strolled out, whistling, while Kleep sat frozen, 4 hands over 4 eyes, wondering if any amount of hazard pay was worth this job. Somewhere in the ventilation system, a tiny camera light blinked off. Rumor has it the footage is already making the rounds in every precinct bar from here to the rim. Title of the file, Not a Super Cop. The Houghton Cut. Some lessons you just can teach in a classroom.